Hi, this is Jen with Iowa Backyard Farmer, and today I want to talk to you about freezing green beans. If you've grown a garden at all, you may have come into an excess of green beans, and pressure canning can be a little bit intimidating and it takes some extra equipment, but freezing them is pretty easy. But there are a couple of steps you have to do to have really good success with them. The first step in the recipe is to select young tender pods when the seed is first formed. Um, so I used to pick green beans for my mom, for my grandma, and they were always kind of particular about the kind of pod that they got. You want it to be thin and smooth. My grandma used to say about the diameter of a number 2 pencil, and not any thinner than that. You can see I've got some smaller ones here. These will get a little floppy, and I'll get more off of them if I let them wait for just a little bit longer. But if I select these nice smooth ones, we don't want any big bumpy bean seeds. Here's one that's kind of gotten away from me. You can see it's a little bit bigger, but the biggest difference is going to be on the inside. The bigger they get, let's see if I can get a really big one, the more their energy has gone into making beans and the less pod you'll have left. And I don't know if you can see that, but the actual green bean part of it gets thinner and it gets a little pithy on the inside, and those seeds are a lot bigger. Are they still edible? Yes. Are they as delicious? Not really. So you want to pick pods that are young, tender, the seeds are just forming. You can see in that it's just almost all delicious green bean. Seeds are just barely getting going. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take these green beans, take them inside, and give them a good wash in cold water. We're going to get off any extra dirt. Sometimes we have these little blossom pieces that stick on. Sometimes there might be a bug. You just want to get it all clean. Then when you've got it all cleaned up, you're going to snip the green beans. And snipping basically means you're going to take this little tail point off and this little stem part off here. And you can just snip those off. They kind of break off if you just want to use your fingers, or you can use a knife. My grandma kind of always cut hers on the diagonal, like at a 45-degree angle to make them kind of pretty. But any cut that you do will be good, but a more uniform one will look more professional. So you're not done yet. This is the step that everybody always asks if they can miss. And the answer is no, not if you want really good results. The next step is that you're going to blanch in boiling water. So you're going to take about a gallon of water or more and heat it up to boiling. And once it's boiling, you're going to put some of your green beans in a basket or something so that you can take them out later and drain them easy. And we do this for a couple reasons. One is that it stops the enzyme action, which can cause the loss of flavor and color and texture. And the other things that it does is that it's going to help clean off the surface of your green bean. There's lots of, I'll call them invisible dirt organisms. It's going to brighten your color up. They're going to turn a vibrant green, and it's going to help you prevent vitamin and mineral loss. And bonus, it's going to help soften them so that they're easy to pack in your freezer packages. There are a couple rules to blanching. One is that you want your blanching water, when you put your green beans in, you want that water to come back to a boil within about a minute. Because if you're over blanching your food, cooking them too long, you're going to end up with a less lovely result. You're going to lose some of your color. You're going to lose your vitamin minerals. It's going to be too soft, right? So you want that boiling water to come back up to a boil in about a minute after you've put your beans in. If it's not coming back that fast, you're probably putting too many beans in at a time. Do it in batches. You don't want to short your time. Green beans take about 3 minutes to blanch, and you don't want to short that time because then you're going to end up stimulating the enzymes you wanted to kill, and you'll end up with the same flavor loss and problems, and it's actually worse than not blanching at all. So you got to hit that sweet spot. You're going to put the beans in. It's going to come back up to a boil in a minute, and then you're going to start your timer. Start your timer at about the time it starts to boil. Do it for 3 minutes. And then we're not done yet. We're going to take that out of the boiling water, and you want to get it cool now as fast as possible. You want to cool it really promptly and thoroughly, so you're going to stop that cooking process. We just want to kill those enzymes. We don't want to destroy the flavor or texture. So in my house, we do this by putting it in a bowl of ice water. And you're going to take it out of the boiling hot water and plunge those beans into some cold water. It should take about the same amount of time to cool them back down as it did to blanch them in the first place. If it's taking longer than that, you need to change out your water for something that's a little cooler. You want to keep it below 60 degrees so that it's going to be effective at doing this. You can add ice if you want. If you don't have a lot of ice, you can do cool running water. That works too. Or just change out your water when you notice that it's getting warm. Once you have everything blanched and cooled back down, you want to drain those. Extra moisture in your freezer processed food is not an advantage. It affects your freeze quality and it's not great. So dry them, drain them thoroughly. They're now cold, they're drained, they're blanched, and they're ready to package. I like to put mine in a vacuum sealer bag because it's going to keep all that air out. Things that we don't like when we're trying to preserve food for later are extra moisture and extra air. All these things are going to damage it. So we want to get it in, dry, or drained down, and then in vacuum seal bags. And then we'll just label those for the freezer, and you will have excellent garden fresh green beans to pull out of your freezer later. Hope this helps. Talk to you later. Bye.